Arthur Wessels is the Executive Vice President at WashTec, one of the biggest manufacturers of car wash equipment in the world. He's been with the company since 1992 and has grown from the Dutch market to the European market and then the global market. So if anyone knows how the market is organized, it's Arthur. Welcome at our table.
Thank you very much.
If there's any questions from the audience or from the viewers, anything you'd like to ask Arthur, please do so. Niels will include a few viewers' questions after the interview. So Arthur, what state is Europe in right now?
I think from, let's say, an industry perspective, it's actually quite good. I think the industry during the pandemic has proven to be extremely robust. Of course, in those countries where full lockdowns were applicable, the business was definitely hit, yes. But in those cases where this was not the case, the business has been very good in 2020. It has started very good in 21. We also hear this, of course, from our customers. We see this at our own affiliates here in Europe. Sales is going very well. So all in all, I think there is a very positive tendency at the moment in the industry.
Is that maybe because of the coronavirus or despite of?
No, I would say despite of. Yeah. I think in the last years the business was good in general in most countries. During the pandemic, of course, everybody was a bit nervous at the beginning in March, April, May last year. But already in the summertime we saw that the numbers were improving. And looking at the whole year, of course there were some differences in some countries. But all in all, I can say it was actually quite a good year.
Can you tell us a little bit about how the markets are organized in Western Europe? So is the UK much different than the Netherlands or Belgium or Germany?
Well, first of all, from a number of installation perspective, it's quite different. Obviously, Germany is the biggest market in Europe. Second is France.
Biggest countries?
As the two biggest countries. But if you look at, let's say, number of people, UK and France are very comparable. Yeah. And from a number of car wash installations in those countries, actually it's quite different. So there is, of course, the phenomena hand wash in the UK, which has become very big in many years. I would say which is on the return right now. I think the industry is picking up in general in the UK. Hand wash is under pressure, which is good because we all know, of course, that this was not, let's say, in the best hands and in the best situation in the UK. And looking at Europe in general, I think, from a quality perspective, the countries, especially in Western Europe, are rather similar.
Yeah. So it's not culturally determined that France might have more jet washes and Germans might have more.
That's a very good point. If you look at Germany, you would see about 16,000 installed car wash machines, so automated car washes. In France, this would be around 7,500. On top of that, we have the jet wash sites.
Yeah.
And if you compare those two, that's very interesting. Then you would see in Germany about 3,500, and in France you would see about 5,500.
So the French like to wash.
The French have definitely developed their jet washes throughout the years, and there have been quite some, let's say, very successful operators doing this and pushing this business. But we see, of course, also that things are changing. Some of these operators now also install rollover machines.
Right.
So there's a little shift, but in general, jet wash in France is big. You're right.
Yeah. And is it usually linked to gas stations or standalone sites, or?
Well, our biggest market definitely still is the fuel station segment. But of course, there are standalone car washes, especially with tunnels and jet wash. There is car dealers, not to forget, who have quite many machines for their own purposes, but also for commercial washes. Yeah. And there's, of course, the big networks, the fuel stations, the MOCs, who are operating most of the machines.
Right. Yeah. So in the US right now, as we heard yesterday, the express washes are really booming. Yes. Is that something that lies in Europe's future?
Well, I would say that depends a little bit on the country. Of course, the tunnel business in general is big in Germany, is big in Benelux.
But that's still manned.
But that's still manned.
Yeah.
Unmanned tunnels, we don't see quite in high numbers yet in Europe. Interior cleaning is coming, which until now at least is always manual labor, as you know. But you're right, in North America, tunnel and express wash is definitely growing significantly, I would say. In Europe, maybe it's a bit different. If you would look, you mentioned France, look at France, try to find a plot of land in the Paris region to build such a wash center.
Yeah, because you need numbers.
You need, first of all, the land, which is, in most cases, very expensive in Europe. So that's going to be a bit difficult. But in those areas where it's possible, then you also need to find, of course, the potential that you need to justify the business case.
Right.
Because these investments are high. This is not done with a few 100,000.
We're talking millions.
Millions, yes. So if you have the right spot, if you have the right potential in that area, then of course this is a fantastic business. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but the circumstances need to be
absolutely.
right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Another theme we wanted to discuss with you is the current trends and developments. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, I would say, and this definitely I think has taken up speed during the pandemic. Mobile payment will come, I think, now in much larger numbers than we have seen so far. Pay at the wash will grow. This is already big in, for instance, France or in Southern Europe, and also in certain parts of Scandinavia. But for instance, in the Netherlands and also in Germany, this is not so big yet. I think this will grow significantly.
And what do you mean by pay at the wash?
Pay at the wash means you don't need to go into a store to buy a wash.
You
can
pay it on your phone
at the wash bay by using a phone or a credit card reader or whatever.
Right.
And the other thing I think will happen soon is, of course, then also the digital applications on the phone, which can be used to buy car washes and also maybe for subscription or other models that we will see growing.
So digitalization in that sense.
Digitalization is definitely something we believe is going to grow, for sure.
Yeah,
both from an operator perspective as well as from an end user perspective.
And how does it work on an operator perspective?
The operator perspective means, you can have better remote access to your equipment. You can have remote data from the equipment. Predictive maintenance is something, of course, we are looking at, which will come in the coming years. So I believe the digital or the digitalization in general for car washes is something that we will see growing significantly in the coming years.
Yeah, and the data that comes from the machines can help you with predictive maintenance, like you said.
Yes, today, usually a machine breaks down, someone calls the service center.
You have to wait for someone to come over.
This is the reactive mode, I would say. Much better, of course, would be the proactive mode, where the machine would tell you, in 4, 5, 6 weeks, this component of this machine will break down. So you better send an engineer to repair it before it is broken down. Yeah, that's what we are aiming for.
So to summarize, digitalization is on convenience.
Yes.
Predictive maintenance. And convenience for the operator and for the
operator,
and
but
for the user.
For the end user, exactly.
For the user, exactly.
How good would it be if you could see already on your phone the car wash is busy or not? If it's not busy, drive in and use it.
Or maybe go to a different location.
Well, that could be, but usually, let's say location loyalty is high. So people who have chosen their car wash location usually go back.
Oh, right. So they'd wait for
exactly.
a quieter time. Maybe.
Exactly.
Okay. So just to check with the viewers if these themes are indeed relevant, we have a short poll. You can see that on the stream. So if you have it on the big screen, change it to a little screen so you can see the poll right next to the screen. In the poll, we ask if these themes are a priority for your car wash. So please pick which is the priority. Is that digitalization, convenience for the user, remote access, the predictive maintenance, or none of the above? So WashTec is a market leader. The company is listed in the stock exchange. The turnover is about 430 billion euros. Do you still have to fight for every order?
Of course. In Holland we have a saying, high trees catch a lot of wind. So we must fight for every order, and we must make sure that we satisfy our customers every day. And maybe even more than other players in this market. Because there is, of course, an expectation from us by our customers. So yes, we fight for every order, and we have to make sure we do the right things. And we have to make sure we keep on working on innovations and improving our efficiency and our service capabilities, because at the end, the customer decides.
Right, and what you said earlier in the conversation that we had is that the service network is of great importance for WashTec.
Yes, I think this is definitely one of our strengths. WashTec, only in Europe, we have over 600 technicians on the road. You could say from northern Norway until Sicily in Italy. And of course, it's all about availability. Once you have the car wash machine in use. Every machine will have some maintenance every now and then. Every machine will have a breakdown every now and then. And then, of course, it's about how fast is your service engineer going to be there? How fast is the machine up and running again? So it's all about availability in this industry.
And I think WashTec guarantees 98%
we
uptime?
guarantee 98% on the full maintenance contracts, even have some higher scores in some countries. But of course, if customers are willing to maintain their car wash in the right way, then we must make sure that this machine is available.
Right, right. To get back to the poll, Niels.
Yes, let's have a look. Okay, most people answered that digitalization is the way to go for the car wash industry.
Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. No.
No. Second best is convenience for the user.
Right.
Which is more or less linked to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's kind of the same. So in the future, there might be less cars to wash because people are moving towards cities. There's car sharing going on. Maybe other forms of transport will become. I'm seeing that you're having doubts on this.
I have big doubts. I do believe that, let's say, car ownership may change. Maybe especially younger people, like you say, living in big cities, do not necessarily want to own a car anymore, but they want to use it. So cars must be available. And if you look at the different countries and the numbers of cars that are sold each year, and let's say the car park which is around in those countries, those numbers are still increasing.
Right.
So I see a very positive future for car wash because those numbers are increasing. Things may change a little bit, that's true.
In ownership.
And also maybe, because of e-mobility and all those developments which we see right now. But at the end, cars need to be washed. And maybe even car sharing more than today, because if you want to share a car, you would like a clean car, right?
Right.
So
maybe the interior cleaning is even...
So maybe that would even give a positive impulse to our industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think sustainability is a big theme?
Yes. Yes.
I know that WashTec, we heard yesterday that you guys have developed your own eco-label.
Yes.
With Our Green. Do you think customers are willing to pay more for a wash if they know that it's done
I would say
environmentally friendly?
Yeah, I would say at the moment that differs maybe a little bit per country. In some countries, I think people are a little bit more environmental aware than in other countries. But one thing is for sure, sustainability is high on the agenda. And it will become more important in more countries than it already is today. And we at WashTec, we work on this, of course, all the time. You have seen our green line chemicals, but of course also water reclaim systems, power consumption on machines, water consumption on machines, chemical consumption. All these aspects need to be looked at for the future. And I think this is definitely something which, especially also younger people, look more at than maybe some other people. So I think this will definitely become more important.
It'll grow in the future.
Yes.
So the future's looking bright for the car wash industry.
I think so, yes. I'm very optimistic. I've been in this industry almost 30 years, like you said. I've seen the ups and downs, but in the last years, I've seen very positive developments. I've seen a lot of focus on quality. I've seen a lot of focus on marketing. I've seen a lot of focus on environment. And I think the consumer is willing to use a car wash whenever it's around. Looking back 30 years ago when people were washing their cars on a Saturday, do you ever see this anymore?
No.
Somewhere? No, exactly.
No.
So people are using car washes.
But it's rather busy at the car wash
That's
on
true.
Saturdays.
Therefore, we believe some more can be installed.
Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us and for joining us at the table.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. If you want to continue the conversation with Arthur, look him up under the speakers. WashTec is also an exhibitor, so if you have any questions for them, do not hesitate to ask them.